Hello, this is the story of the last proper painting I did, which took me quite a long time, and it occurred over a kind of a really a period of transition in my life. So it's, I mean, I was really very happy with it, with how it ended up. But this is its story basically. Um, I started off with wanting to have a new altarpiece basically. Um, I had an old altarpiece which was originally painted for me and Phil, my late husband. Yeah, and it ended up as an altarpiece, and it showed two deity figures. Um, and although I maintained the same contact essentially with uh, the deities, though some of them have changed in form um, over the years. A lot has actually happened in the last 10 years, which really was a very a big journey. Yeah, and so I wanted to have uh, a different painting to sort of like to commemorate that. And in doing this, I painted a different set of deities, and also the moon was shown in a completely different phase. In fact, an opposite phase in many ways, as being at the very end of the lunar cycle, just before the dark of the moon, and just before dawn. That was how I painted the original one, which you can see here. Um, I worked through a number of things with this. This is how it started off, and then at the same time, uh, the exact timing I can't really remember, but I think by this time I had certainly already started a new relationship. Yeah, after a period of 5 years or so uh, after my husband died. So there was a kind of new dispensation in a sense, and just as the other painting was done for my husband and me, I wanted this painting to in part be for um, for me and my new partner. Now there was some reworkings of the painting, and I mean, like here you can see one. There was actually three figures in this one, um, but you'll see that like the again there's this figure. There's a figure which is, I think, a kind of a Hecate figure really, and then there is a god figure here, which I based I was basing, and very clearly basing on from the very beginning here, on the idea of a sort of a Mexican devil, or for instance these sort of like Eshu figures, South American devil god figure. So this is what I was bringing to it, but I wanted to bring my partner into this. Yeah, and so things entered here which I wish to put into the painting, which will bring the influence of our life together into it, and the influence of my new partner into it. And to do that, I brought in an old image of Marianne Faithfull as a basis for the female figure. Um, and while the male figure continued to be a sort of South American devil figure, a sort of Mexican devil figure, and an Eshu figure, I brought in another 60s influence by wanting to have him, rather than wearing the top hat, which I had originally done, I wanted to have him wearing Brian Jones's hat from the 1960s, from about 1967, which you can see here. So that's the background to the to how the uh, the painting progressed really. So I started off as I would often do, just with a blank field. Yeah, I painted this in light acrylics, which is how I like to do things, because I could then fade other acrylics into this kind of primed background. And I continued with this. I knew that I wanted it to be in a kind of place which seemed to be high up, where you could see the horizon, and it was night time, but just before dawn. That was the other thing with this. Uh, the tree motif was going to stay, but it was going to be a different tree. Um, I knew that I wanted this to be a kind of coniferous tree of some sort, probably a kind of pine of some sort. So the tree was again a central motif. I started to then sketch in the figures, which took shape very, very quickly, especially the female figure. And the clouds came in as well to give the height in the sky. And then the female figure's face came in very quickly, and I very quickly realized, although I was basing this on Marianne Faithfull, it wasn't Marianne Faithfull. She provided the kind of the energy, the stance, the attitude, but the figure coming through this was not Marianne Faithfull. And just kept on, and the devil figure's cape came through. Obviously, hair was coming in for the female figure. And I knew that although I didn't have the colour of the original shirt for Marianne, I wanted it to be purple. The male figure, I wanted to have some sort of like a red beard, a reddish beard rather than a black beard. That's an association for me with my own connection to the devil. At least one of his faces, one of his aspects. He is a multifaceted deity. And these kept on being added to, and the tones changed, particularly on the devil's beard, and his eyes are getting more defined now. And the definition on his body, and Marianne is starting to get her shirt filled in with designs, which I tried to make pretty faithful in form, at least, to the original, and her trusty cigarette, which had to be there. A lot of working on the hands of the male figure, or both their hands really, but the female figure came together very, very quickly and immediately, and the male figure was a real work of devotion, yeah. And we're starting to get, like his body hair coming in here, his fur, which is important, yeah. It's just slowly, this all got added to, slowly worked on over and over again. The hands. The hands were something to sort of like try and work out. I had very early on also decided that he should have a blue lining to his cape rather than a red one. That was quite specific. It was a specific association for me. And you'll notice that the colours the colours will deviate from naturalistic at times in certain parts of the devil's body and the contours. There's things like the buckles. The female figure's buckle is, of course, is worked on here. I tried to make this again very faithful to the original. There was a lot of working on that devil figure's extended hand, trying to get it to look right, yeah, and also trying to get the arms to look right, because I had all sorts of things about balance and how to make things look balanced. Yeah, look balanced. I was pleased with the original with the eventual form of it, though. I wanted to get his belt buckle. I wanted to be almost like a large, flat, semi-precious stone or something. And then with the gold around it. And also I wanted to get the over and over again working on his hand to try and get the fingers and the hands to be credible, really, and realistic. And then getting the shading in on the trousers and the rest of the shading on the cape, going to get these things sorted out. For me, the important thing is impression and how it impacts you, really, how the whole thing holds together as it appears to the eye as an impression, really. All sorts of reworkings as I went on, little reworkings, you know. And more shadowing coming in on the trees and things like that. More shadowing on the trees, and some leaves coming in on the trees. Is there, you know, again, this was like some sort of a fir tree, and so I wanted there to be some greenery there. It's just this touch of greenery to add something, but which had to be conifer. And then the hat is getting now filled in that very like bright cream color that I wanted to have as Brian Jones's hat. And more shading on the hat, and then the light comes in from the horizon, and the light is caught on the underneath of the clouds above to give that sense of height. And that is the finished article, which I'm very happy with. It means a great deal to me. It represents a great deal. It's funny, I began this painting at the old place where I lived, and I finished it in the new home with my new partner, and this is where it sits. So there is my last painting. I hope you found that of interest. Bye bye.